Yes. Hello, my beautiful friends. What an amazing day it is. Welcome back. I hope that your Thanksgiving was just delicious. Ours was over here. We had a beautiful night spending time with our family. And of course, I hope you did the same. It's very nice to have you here on this Friday for an early stream. It's Black Friday. A lot of people out there getting after it. Haven't seen any people running out of the store with like 5 big screen TVs yet, but the day is young. And we're very glad that you're with us. I also hope your week was amazing because we covered some good business as we got here, but we're not done yet. We're closing out the week. We've got some very sad and tragic news. Unfortunately, we've lost Sarah Beckstrom, U.S. Army specialist. She was shot and killed. We saw right before Thanksgiving, and we were praying and hopeful that she would make it through her recovery, but unfortunately, she's passed away. So we've got some updates on that. The president was out talking about this. Quick preview, then we'll come back. We'll circle back around on this stuff. But the president was out. Then he came out and made the announcement, but he dropped a big truth and a tweet. As you can see, he hasn't been posting much on X, but he is now. And he dropped a big one, man. This came out and he said, we're not playing around anymore. Enough is enough. And he's going to be making a permanent pause on immigration from a bunch of bad countries. So we'll read through that, see what the latest is. And then I got a bunch of additional reaction queued up on this. Kash Patel was out. Pete Hegseth was out. We got a bunch of people. We've got a photo of her and her father. Prayers up for him too, and may she rest in peace. But we'll go through this. We'll see what the latest is because we even saw Janine Pirro was out. I think this was this morning, talking about what the latest is. Now they are going to upgrade this dude's charges. And the guy who's responsible for it, allegedly, of course, all of the show, we'll see. Apparently, he was vetted by the CIA. This is the weirdest thing. And we got some ID on this dude now. And what they did over here on Fox is they tucked it all the way down here in the bottom of the article. But you can see they explained to us that this guy entered legally under Joe Biden. And right there, he was vetted by the CIA. What the heck is going on with that? So we'll come back to that. I got some more queued up there about what group he was a part of and how this whole thing went down. But we'll go into all of that and we'll see what else is percolating out there today. In fact, the presidential schedule is pretty light. We saw the president came out and made an announcement about the death that we'll go through. I've got some clips of him queued up. So that was kind of unexpected that occurred yesterday. But today, no public events scheduled and a pretty light schedule there for the president. Then tomorrow, again, light. And then on Sunday, they're coming on back. But it's holiday season, of course, and so things are light out there. Even the court dockets are pretty light, as I will share with you. But we've got not much cooking over on C-SPAN today. Congress just has their pro forma sessions, meaning they just kind of clock in, clock out, just to we showed up, so that they're not out of session. But that's all that we've got from them. Washington Journal stuff, not much else out there. We also saw a couple of other posts. So quick update on the Galin Maxwell case, not a super substantive update, but we've been sending some stuff back and forth. We, of course, want to unseal these grand jury records. And the court asked for some more information. And so the DOJ just dropped this one. This one came in fresh just a couple days ago. And then, of course, nothing came in yesterday. But this is maybe the most substantive court docket update that we've got. And so quick update here. You can see the new U.S. attorney who's leading this thing is Jay Clayton. You've heard his name. And people are saying, well, Jay, that's interesting because didn't he work with Jeffrey Berman, the other U.S. attorney who was fired / resigned, who was working on the Epstein case? Anyway, so we got all this cooking. And here is what they sent back into the judge. They said, hey, unseal this stuff. Of course, Epstein, they're asking for unsealing in that one. But Epstein's dead. Maxwell's still alive. So the judge asked for an update on this, Paul Engelmeyer, in the Maxwell case. And here's what the prosecution had to say from the DOJ. All right, the government is now responding to you, Judge. You said earlier this week on the 25th that you wanted an update. We just passed this new law into effect, the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Now, as noted in the government's motion, the act was passed and signed into law by the president not long ago. Pursuant to the act, Congress has directed the AG to make a bunch of information available. Concomitantly, concomitantly, I know the word is concomitant, but with adding an ly, it makes a little, adverb in that up makes it a little difficult for me. And relevant here, the act further permitted the AG to withhold or to redact certain information if it contains personally identifiable info or victims or personal info or medical info or in this. That's unwarranted. That's an invasion of privacy. And so we're not going to go into that. Now, while the act does not require withholding or redacting of victim information, the department intends to redact or withhold victim information to the fullest extent allowable under laws and the act. In other words, if the act conflicts with some other laws, then, well, maybe we're going to have a battle about that. The government notified the victims about this action, says the government has been contacted by counsel who represents multiple victims and has reached out to counsel to confer about concerns raised in our correspondence. The government intends to discuss with counsel the issues raised in their letter to us in advance of our next filing, and we're currently investigating the claims. Now, at minimum, the government will confer with them and ask them what their position is on withholding or redaction, and then we'll make the decision. Now, in response, Judge, to your specific questions, the government clarifies now that we want to, when we're unsealing the grand jury records and the protective orders and all the stuff, they explain that in this case, we seek modification of all protective orders to permit the government to make available all categories of materials pursuant to the act. In that vein, the government asks, and we submit that the act requires the AG to make publicly available not just these materials in these categories, but all materials. Not just the stuff that you would expect in a regular criminal case, but everything, even secret stuff. Says any such publication of these materials would be subject to other limitations that the act provides for, the Transparency Act, and the government expects at a minimum to redact victim statements to the government as we move forward. Now, with respect to your instruction, Judge, to identify in sufficient detail what materials to be made publicly available consist of, like, okay, if we're going to release all this, tell me what's going to be in it. They say there's a bunch of stuff. Here's what we're looking at. Judicial process obtained during the course of the investigation. So things like search warrants, pen registers, checks, travel records, airline records, grand jury subpoena returns from internet service providers, Instagram, Microsoft, Google, all the things. All law enforcement records, NYPD, Virgin Islands, New York State Department of State, Bureau of Prisons, school records, search warrant returns, materials produced by law firms and other law firms representing the victims, arrest reports, booking photos, materials from civil litigations, photographs and videos, immigration records, records related to online purchases, materials obtained from Palm Beach Police Department, forensic exams. They had all sorts of funky stuff too. I didn't even want to know what their online orders were. For copies of photographs and other materials, postal courier records, driver's licenses, you get the gist of it. Okay, everything. To the extent that the rules contain personal information of the victims, like photographs, bank records, or other things, Pam Bondi's going to withhold those records. So in summary, Judge, you're asking what we want released, everything, except some victim stuff. The government is in the process of identifying potentially responsive materials to the publication, which is called for under the act, categorizing them and processing them for review. Going forward, the government will continue the process, and we'll let you know if we get any input from the victims or any other rulings come down the pike. All right, so quick update over there. And then, of course, here was just a little fun video from John Thun, the Senate Majority Leader, on Thanksgiving. Hopefully your Thanksgiving was nice. We make a lot of fun of John Thun, but I had to pause on this one because his shirt was just so awesome. All right. And looks like he's got a bunch of nice kids over there. So here's what happened over from John Thun on a Thanksgiving celebration, saying, grateful to be able to carve the turkey with my grandkids crowding around to supervise. Happy Thanksgiving from our family to yours. Quoting the Bible, enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and praise his name. Psalms 104, courtesy of the Senate Majority Leader, John Thun, with a great shirt.
Hey, here we go. You guys ready?
Happy Thanksgiving!
That seems...
Got a little help from my friends.
Nice,
Can I
John.
have a drumstick? Can I have a drumstick?
yeah, I want a drumstick.
I want a drumstick.
We talked about one year, we talked about carving the bird.
Wait, we'll have to start over to buy.
Nice. All right. So it looks like a nice Thanksgiving over there. And I hope your Thanksgiving was amazing. And today you're recovering, digesting, hopefully got a bunch of leftovers, turkey sandwich with a little cranberry sauce on there. Whatever you have, going to be delicious. But it is Black Friday, my friends. And we have a Black Friday sponsor. It's our friends over at Brick House Nutrition, baby. They got a deal going on right now. It's 30% off over there. Biggest sale of the year. BrickHouseNutrition.com. Links are in the description below. We have to outlift the left and be more fit than them. And of course, you can do that with some great supplements. 30% off over there. They've got lean. They've got creatine, which is like creatine, except over there it's designed just for women, which is pretty amazing. So creatine's amazing. I take that all the time. And over there, everything's 30% off. What a great deal. They got superfruit. They got vegetable, drinks, their field of greens, every product that can help with better sleep, increase your collagen levels, whatever you want. It's over there. BrickHouseNutrition.com. Links in the description below. And they got a 30% off right now Black Friday deal. So check it out. BrickHouseSale.com is where you should go today. BrickHouseSale.com. Head over there. Get your 30% off, baby. And load up. Man, creatine's great too. We love that stuff. It's good. Just take it like Skittles, man. It's good for you. All right, so check it out. Shout out to our friends, Brickhouse Nutrition. It's Black Friday. Stock up, baby. Load up. All right, so now, my friends, let's get into the business on the day. We got the really sad news, unfortunately. An American soldier murdered, killed. As you can see, the president making that announcement in a somber press sting on a phone call with other American servicemen and women, but having, unfortunately, to pause and make this announcement. Lots of reactions, of course, in the aftermath of this news, including the fact that now the charges are going up to murder for the person who is allegedly responsible for this. But Trump came out and he said, unfortunately, she has passed away. Here is how the announcement went down last night.
I must unfortunately tell you that just seconds before I went on, right now, I heard that Sarah Beckstrom of West Virginia, one of the guardsmen that we're talking about, highly respected, young, magnificent person, started service in June of 2023, outstanding in every way. She's just passed away. She's no longer with us. She's looking down at us right now. Her parents are with her. This just happened. She was savagely attacked. She's dead. She's not with us. Incredible person. Outstanding in every single way, in every department. That's horrible. I must unfortunately
it's absolutely terrible. And the president unloaded after this news broke. You can see we're going to come back to this incredible tweet on X post warranting stepping outside of Truth Social and dropping this for all of the planet to see. And many have now. It's up to 28.2 million views as of the time of this recording. But here was a photograph of Sarah Beckstrom, who is now dead, unfortunately. A true American hero, beautiful young gal who was 20 years old. You can see 2005 to 2025, was out there just on the streets trying to ensure that people didn't get shot to secure her fellow countrymen's lives and help facilitate the improvement of our society. Some lunatic came up and just shot her. And I think it's probably much deeper than just some random lunatic, since, as we're going to find out, this dude was vetted by the CIA, which is weird. So makes perfect sense. But she is now dead. Prayers up. We pause. Rest in peace, Sarah Beckstrom. You are up in heaven with our other loved ones. We'll be reunited again, but not yet. Thank you for your service to our country. Prayers up for her family and for Sarah. Now, here's another photo from the West Virginia National Guard, where she hailed from, saying, "We are devastated to confirm the death of our own. Special Sarah Beckstrom, who was shot in the line of duty near the Farragut Square metro station Wednesday. Special Beckstrom was pronounced dead at MedStar Washington Hospital on November 27th, Thanksgiving, by wounds incurred during this shooting." Horrible. So that's from West Virginia. And we saw that the president came out after making that announcement, and he said, you know what? On Thanksgiving, a very happy Thanksgiving salutation to all of our great American citizens and patriots who have been so nice in allowing our country to be divided, disrupted, carved up, murdered, beaten, mugged, and laughed at, along with certain other foolish countries throughout the world for being politically correct and just plain stupid when it comes to immigration. The official United States foreign population stands at 53 million people, foreigners, according to the census, most of which are on welfare from failed nations or from prisons, mental institutions, gangs, or drug cartels. They and their children, who automatically become citizens because we're insane, are supported through massive payments from patriotic American citizens who, because of their beautiful hearts, do not want to openly complain or cause trouble in any way, shape, or form. They put up with what has happened to our country, but it's eating them alive to do so. A migrant earning $30,000 with a green card will get roughly $50,000 in yearly benefits for their family from us. The real migrant population is much higher. This refugee burden is the leading cause of social dysfunction in America, something that did not exist after World War II. Failed schools, high crime, urban decay, overcrowded hospitals, housing shortages, and large deficits, etc. As an example, hundreds of thousands of refugees from Somalia are completely taking over the once great state of Minnesota. Somalian gangs are roving the streets looking for prey as our wonderful people stay locked in their apartments and houses, hoping against hope that they will be left alone. The seriously retarded governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, does nothing, either through fear, incompetence, or both, while the worst congressman/woman in our country, Ilhan Omar, always wrapped in her swaddling hijab, and who probably came into the USA illegally in that you're not allowed to marry your brother, does nothing but hatefully complain about our country, its constitution, how badly she is treated when her place of origin is a decadent, backward, and crime-ridden nation, which is essentially not even a country for lack of government, military, police, schools, etc. Even as we have progressed technologically, immigration policy has eroded those gains and living conditions for many. I will permanently pause migration from all third world countries to allow the U.S. system to fully recover. Terminate all of the millions of Biden illegal admissions, including those signed by sleepy Joe Biden's auto pen, and remove anyone who is not a net asset to the United States or is incapable of loving our country, and all federal benefits and subsidies to non-citizens of our country, denaturalize migrants who undermine domestic tranquility, and deport any foreign national who is a public charge, security risk, or non-compatible with Western civilization. These goals will be pursued with the aim of achieving a major reduction in illegal and disruptive populations, including those admitted through an unauthorized and illegal auto pen approval process. Only reverse migration can fully cure this situation. Other than that, happy Thanksgiving to all, except those that hate, steal, murder, and destroy everything that America stands for. You won't be here for long. Let's go. That's what we're talking about. All right. And that's exactly what we need to do to save our country. Now, a lot of people take a listen to these things like denaturalization, and it makes people uncomfortable. And I can understand that. But if you are somebody who came into our country on a fraudulent pretense, if you lied in your contract with America, we said, hey, we're going to give you this beautiful thing, but you have to make sure you agree with these beautiful things. We want you to be value aligned. We want you to come in here and believe in capitalism, believe in the Bill of Rights, believe in free speech, and all of these things. And if you can't do that, and if you're going to lie on your forms, if you're going to be Mom Donnie, become naturalized from Uganda, or you're going to be Amir Ali, the judge in the DC circuit, I believe, or one of these other judges like Chutkin from Jamaica or wherever. And then you're going to come in and then decide that you hate all of a sudden these Bill of Rights. You think that you have an understanding of the Constitution, and you don't, because you make yourself the president. Or even on your naturalization form, you say, no, I believe in capitalism. No, I love America, all these things. And then you come here and you talk about communism openly. Well, you lied on your form. And just like any other fraudulent contract, you should be dispossessed of those benefits. Everybody else has to abide by contract law in the United States, apparently except illegal aliens. Everybody has to provide by immigration laws, except illegal aliens. You can be a Kilmar wife-beating Abrego Garcia, escape culpability for trafficking humans across the border many times over. Tennessee Highway Patrol will let you go when the FBI says we don't want to worry about it. So they get all of these extra privileges, and we got to pay for it. And we've said this before, and you can get called xenophobic or a bigot or a white supremacist or whatever. Don't even care, a Nazi, whatever they want to call us. Don't even care. We have a horde of people who have come into our country. Many of them are murdering other people. And every single person who is here, we have to account for in some way, shape, or form. Of course, that manifests itself in everything that Trump just articulated here. Schools becoming dilapidated, healthcare outcomes becoming worse, budgets increasing across the board. We've got disunity everywhere. They're waving foreign flags as they're protesting on the streets, attacking our federal agents. We're sick of it. We've been sick of it for years. I've been sick of it my whole friggin' life. I've been born and raised in Arizona, and the border has been our problem my whole life. Every senator, every governor, they all come in, oh, you fix the border for you. And we all vote for them. Whoever has the harsher border policy, everybody's excited about, because it's been a disaster. We've been watching it on the front lines. And then now it's spreading all over the place. You've got cities being taken over by Somalians. You've got Afghanis coming in and shooting American soldiers on the streets of DC. So I hope Trump can execute on this. He's very good with words and makes us all very excited about what he's posting here. But Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi, Marco Rubio, everybody in Congress needs to get on board with this. This is an existential crisis, and the judges are in the way of any real serious reform. And when the judges come down and issue their nationwide injunctions, and Amir Ali from Canada, who became a citizen like 2 minutes ago, and Chutkin from Jamaica, who became a citizen like 5 minutes ago, when they come in, Congress needs to step in and impeach them and remove them immediately and get this problem on a more substantive path. We've got some good progress on this, to be quite frank. The border's locked down, but that's only one part of the trifecta. We've also got to work on birthright citizenship. And as the president said, we also need reverse migration. They have to go. Closing the border is not enough. So Congress needs to step in. And if they're not going to work on this, then maybe they're just happy with more dead Americans, which seemingly has been the case, unfortunately. So the USCIS Immigration System Services chair, this guy director, said, at the direction of POTUS, I have now directed a full-scale, rigorous examination of every green card for every alien from every country of concern. The protection of this country and of the American people remains paramount, and the American people will not bear the cost of the prior administration's reckless resettlement policies. American safety is non-negotiable. I sure hope so. So that's what they're saying over there. Meanwhile, they posted this. They said, national security remains our top priority. In response to this horrific shooting, we have issued new guidance for allowing negative country-specific factors to be considered when vetting aliens from 19 high-risk countries. And so here's what they published yesterday on Thanksgiving. They say, we got 19 high-risk countries that we're going to be looking at here. In the wake of the shooting of 2 National Guard service members, one now dead, the other in critical condition, this guidance comes directly from the Trump administration. Says, my primary responsibility is to ensure people are not getting killed. This includes an assessment of where these foreigners are coming from. Now, the Biden administration spent the last 4 years dismantling basic vetting and screening standards, although in this case, the CIA apparently vetted this dude, which is perfect, right? Did he have any of the hallmarks of a murderer? No hallmarks of a murderer. The Trump administration takes the opposite approach of what Joe Biden did. They focused on rapid resettlement. They created an Uber illegal alien app. Just fly on in here illegally. Come on in here. Except they didn't call it illegal. They just said, oh, no, it's asylum. No, he's a refugee. Why? It rained hard down there in Guatemala. So we have to bring in 50,000 Guatemalans and resettle them here because they're asylees, because their pupusa businesses are under attack. So this guidance now is going to include country-specific factors, and we're going to further strengthen our efforts here. And where are the countries? Do we know? Was this page helpful? Not really, because it didn't list the countries there. All right, so I pressed no, but now I'm going to fill out a form. So there it is. There's the link. So user error. Here you go. So it's referring us back to June 4th, and let's see what countries are part of these high-risk countries. Here we go. 7 here: Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, Venezuela. Afghanistan, right there. Burma, also on the list. Chad, Congo, Equatorial Guinea, you're on the list. Eritrea, Haiti, on board. Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Yemen, Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Venezuela, all afuera. Okay, that's the 19 countries, so we get the gist of it. But locking it down, and I hope the president's words carry a lot of weight. We'll see where this goes once it is received on their ears. But here's what the Secretary of the Army said. Please join me in praying for the family and loved ones of Specialist Sarah Beckstrom, a brave member of the West Virginia National Guard who passed away in service to our nation. May God bless her soul, and may she rest in peace. Amen to that. Here's another one from Cash. Cash said, Sarah Beckstrom was a young soldier and patriot with her entire life ahead of her. Please join me in praying for Sarah's family, friends, and fellow soldiers left behind. From Cash. Hegseth says, an American hero at home with the Lord. Rest in peace, Specialist Sarah Beckstrom. May our nation kneel in prayer for her family. Now, here was another photo, as you can see, of Beckstrom and her father. Prayers up for her father, man. And we were just talking earlier this week about how hard it is to lose a child just, randomly. But ericshouse.org is a place for that, if anybody else is in a similar situation. But my mom was here yesterday, and she even explained a feeling that I've also felt when I meet with parents who've lost a child. There's really nothing more devastating. Sibling loss is a different category. Probably child-parent loss is more in order with the universe, right? You're a child, you should watch your parents die. It shouldn't be the opposite. So it just breaks my heart total. I mean, it's just devastating. So prayers up for that man and the whole family. It's brutal. So, all right, and a beautiful photo. Now, Pam Bondi said devastated. That's right. Please pray for Sarah's family. America will never forget her courage. There will be justice for Sarah. Continue to pray for Andrew, who is still recovering and in critical condition. Thank you to President Trump. The death penalty is back. And Janine Pirro was saying the same, saying we're going to be digging into this one big time. Here's what Janine had to say.
Are we going to see an escalation in charges?
Oh, there's no question. First of all, our hearts go out and our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of a beautiful 20-year-old Sarah Beckstrom, who answered the call to serve her nation. And she volunteered, and she ended up being shot ambush style on the cold streets of Washington, D.C. By an individual who will now be charged with murder in the first degree. There are certainly many more charges to come, but we are upgrading the initial charges of assault to murder in the first degree. And we are hoping that the more information we can get and the more investigation that is going on 24/7 now, around the clock in Washington, the more we will find out about what actually happened in terms of this individual even being in this country and being in a position to ambush and shoot down an innocent young woman who was doing her duty to the people of this country.
Yeah, sick state of affairs, but Happy to see that the charges are going to be escalated, elevated, but we have not seen any indictments or any direct complaint or anything like that come down yet. I'm sure they're working on that right now. And meanwhile, while they're filing charges on one murder, we're praying for Andrew Wolf, this young man who is still in critical condition. Fox News reporting that Janine Pirro gave them an update saying we still have hope for him. And so we're going to be continuing to pray for him and his family, the second American soldier that was shot by a foreign Afghani in Washington, D.C. So that's the quick roundup on that. But there's a lot more story about the shooter, the alleged shooter right here. And this one is very curious. The alleged shooter of two American heroes, National Guard members, apparently was vetted by the CIA. Tucked at the bottom of this story over from Fox News, you can see, they say that Andrew Wolf is still fighting for his life. Sarah Beckstrom has been murdered now. And they give us some background on this. We'll come back to that. But here at the bottom, you can see this is the person who allegedly did the shooting. His name is Rahmanala Lakenwall. And Fox is reporting, and there's a lot more to this, that he was vetted by the CIA in Afghanistan for his work with the agency. So he was a CIA asset and then again vetted for his application into the United States. That's twice. A senior U.S. official told Fox News that he was clean on all checks on his background check, and that the Trump administration approved his asylum application earlier this year. Very strange. Now, DOJ, OIG, Office of the Inspector General report, found that there were no systemic failures in the Afghan refugee vetting process, which we know is a joke. We watched the airplanes get filled with people. They were falling off of the wheel wells. ICE and U.S. citizenship people, they announced on Thursday they're going to re-examine green cards from everybody, including Afghanistan. And they've also implemented new national security measures to be considered while vetting these foreigners. So more on this guy. Apparently 29 years old. Biden brought him in 2021. There was a humanitarian parole. It was part of Biden's Operation Allies Welcome. Trump got asked about this. And the argument is that Biden brought him here, Trump kept him here, but if Trump wanted him back out and the administration approved it, who was a part of that process? Was there any problem in that vetting process? Or how did this not get caught? Did he get radicalized after he got here? Why is he just snapping all of a sudden? And the CIA, as we know, is one of the most corrupt organizations of all time, including the fact that they helped to rig the election in 2020 by working with the Biden campaign on propaganda for the country. So Pam Bondi said she was devastated. Of course, these two are who have been shot. Sarah Beckstrom, may she rest in peace, age 20, murdered by a CIA asset, apparently. And Andrew Wolf, 24, still recovering. But this goes deeper. Apparently, this guy was part of a unit called the Zero Unit, or part of the CIA's Zero Units, plural. The man suspected of shooting these two American soldiers is an Afghan national, came back in 2021. This guy, Rahmanala, is age 29. Officials say he drove across the country to carry out this murder, was detained moments after shooting Sarah Beckstrom. And Andrew Wolf, he used a .357 Smith & Wesson revolver. Beckstrom, now dead. Wolf remains in critical condition. This guy was charged with 3 counts of assault and intent to kill while armed. And I haven't seen this filed yet. Let me see if I can grab that while we're here, because it's all happening quickly. But I've not seen the criminal complaint yet. 3 counts of assault with intent to kill. Now those are going to be upgraded. The Office of the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Pirro, confirmed on Friday that charges of first-degree murder are going to be coming back. Now, Lakenwall was 5 when the U.S. and allies invaded Afghanistan in the aftermath of 9/11. We all remember that and spent most of our lives going through that. 2 decades later, He was among tens of thousands of Afghan nationals who came to the U.S. as part of Operation Allies Welcome. Kristi Noem talked about it. He was granted asylum this year. A law enforcement official briefed on the investigation told the Washington Post, asylum for what? The official spoke on condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to publicly discuss this. Ratcliffe, who is our current CIA director, said Lakenwall had been a member of a partner force in Kandahar, a province in southern Afghanistan that saw significant fighting during the war. He was a part of the CIA Zero Unit that were involved in combat missions to seize or kill terrorists. According to several people familiar with the matter, all of them speaking on condition of anonymity, they're not allowed to talk about this. Now, the Zero Units, also known as the National Strike Units, were involved in dangerous and often deadly night raids and other missions to kill or capture members of Taliban, Al-Qaeda, Islamic State, and other groups. CIA and the military provide intelligence, and they go do the work. The CIA has never publicly acknowledged its work with Zero Units, which have been shadowed by allegations of human rights violations, including a 2019 Human Rights Watch report that found that they conducted summary executions and other abuses that the CIA was enabling. Now, Lakenwall and other Afghan paramilitary members would have undergone extensive vetting before joining these units and were supposed to be monitored closely once in service. U.S. officials have said the Zero Units were effective fighters and that they played a critical role in assisting the evacuation and probably saved U.S. lives. And then this dude just snaps. Trump got asked about it, and he said he just went cuckoo. I've got that clip coming up next. Neighbors interviewed Thursday in Bellingham, which is in the far northwest corner of Washington state, so all across the country, said that Lakenwall had lived with his wife and 5 children in a second-floor unit. Several neighbors said that they had little contact with Lakenwall, but that they would see him in passing, often coming home late at night. They described him as polite. Another neighbor called Mohammed, who is also from Afghanistan, said Lakenwall was Pashtun. They both attended a nearby mosque, and their children went to elementary school together, saying he hadn't seen Lakenwall in recent weeks. Now, advocacy groups condemned the attack, said it did not reflect a wider Afghanistan. No, it's not all of us. I know, we always hear that constantly. No, it's not all of them. We know, I know. But this one, it definitely was. And if we didn't have him here, then it wouldn't have happened, presumably. But why is he here? It's not some random illegal. It was vetted by the CIA. You know who else used to work for the CIA who was just talking garbage about the National Guard? Oh, yeah, it was Alyssa Slotkin. Remember her? One of the seditious 6 in her little ridiculous video. So vetted by the CIA, part of a Zero Unit group, evidently. And Trump was asked about that today, and he snapped on him. He said, listen, don't ask stupid questions like this. And there's been an interesting pattern here where Trump doesn't really want to mention his name. And Kristi Noem also doesn't want to mention this dude's name because he might have been one of ours for whatever reason. Here is the president explaining.
A question about this tragic shooting in Washington, D.C. U.S. officials say that the suspect worked very closely with the CIA in Afghanistan for years, that he was vetted, and the vetting came up clean.
He went cuckoo. I mean, he went nuts. And that happens, too. It happens too often with these people. You see them. But look, this is how they come in. This is how they're standing on top of each other. And that's an airplane. There was no vetting or anything. They came in unvetted.
Right, they just
And we have a lot of
shoved them
others in this country. We're going to get them out. But they go cuckoo. Something happens to them.
Your DOJ IG just reported this year that there was thorough vetting by DHS and by the FBI of these Afghans who were brought into the U.S. So why do you blame the Biden administration?
Because they let them in. Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person? Because they came on a plane along with thousands of other people that shouldn't be here, and you're just asking questions because you're a stupid person. And there's a law passed that it's almost impossible not to get them out. You can't get them out once they come in. And they came in, and they were unvetted, they were unchecked, there were many of them.
Trump's right about that. We can't even get rid of Maryland man Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who had a removal order and had multiple appeals and was here illegally for years. And the judges are bending over backwards to keep him here, even though he was trafficking minors into our country and was abusing his wife, according to her words, not ours, and her complaints. And they're doing everything they can to keep him in here. A foreigner, not vetted by the CIA, or maybe he was. Maybe that's why Van Hollen went down there to go have a margarita with him. But you can't get him out of the country because the judges will not allow you to do that. They're all asylees now. And if you remove them, they're going to die instantly, according to the judges. And you just can't do that. They cannot leave. That's the whole point of us being invaded, because they knew that once the floodgates were open, you can't close it. You can't put the genie back in the bottle once it comes out. So the president unloading on this lady, and I think it actually is a good question. I'd like to know more details about this. Okay, if the CIA vetted him, who was responsible for that? Like, if anybody else does something bad or something breaks on your watch, who installed that? Why'd that air conditioner fall out of the building? Who put that in? Who installed that in there? You don't just say, well, you know, crap happens and stuff falls out of the sky. Leaks happen, right? In a prior life, installing some swimming pool equipment, and there's a leak, I'm responsible for that. I file a motion in court that's bad. I'm responsible for that. I got to own that up. Judge calls me in, says, hey, what did you do on this? Sorry, Judge, this is what I did. So if you're a CIA operative and you're vetting these people, what's that process look like? How'd this guy get through? What happened? I don't think you just go cuckoo. Maybe you do, but are you a Manchurian candidate? Did Alyssa Slotkin send him a text message and say, you're activated? He went, Broop, and when activated, what the heck happened here?
And they came in on big planes, and it was disgraceful. And if you look, you'll see there was a law passed. It makes it almost impossible not to let them in, not to certify them, so to speak, once they come in. And they came in, and they shouldn't have come in. And frankly, the whole thing was a mess. The whole Afghanistan situation was a mess. It should have never taken place. If we're going to go out, and we would have gone out because I had everybody ready to go, we were going to go out with strength and dignity and precision, and we would have left from Bagram, and we would have kept Bagram, by the way, because of its very close relationship to China and where they make their missiles. But when you let the people come in by the thousands and thousands and thousands, they made a terrible mistake. But they were incompetent, yeah.
Yeah, that's all true. They were incompetent, and I understand the argument that if you break it, you buy it kind of a situation. Like, if you're going to go in there and try to build democracy, then you're responsible for a lot of the aftermath of that. Like, your country's responsible. You can't just go in, let me try to fix this, and then you don't fix it. You're like, that's way worse, and now I leave, and it's your problem. I understand the ickiness that comes with that idea, but at some point, we have to stop interfering with other countries, let them manage their own affairs, focus on our own country, and stop blaming our generation for the mistakes of the prior generations. Okay, we're not responsible for all of the Bush mistakes. We have a country to save. We don't have to be shackled to their poor decisions indefinitely. They invaded the Middle East and got us, hyper invested in that region in a way that we don't need to be. And we now have to suffer the consequences for that for the rest of our lives. Do our children also have to have Afghani refugees? Do their children also have to have Afghani refugees because we broke it, we bought it, kind of an argument? No. All right, enough already. We got a country to save. It's time for Fortress America. We don't have to take care of the entire planet, nor can we. It's not even possible. So even the idealistic lunatics on the left who say you can't. Just do the math and the numbers on it. It's not physically or financially possible. But the FBI raided this dude's residence, says that he was living there in a $2,000 a month Washington apartment before he decided to drive across the country as a CIA asset, which I don't ever think that you're no longer a CIA asset. Let's be clear about that. Alyssa Slotkin, you can't escape it. FBI agents raided the $2,000 a month apartment in Washington. On Thursday, they executed search warrants as part of a rapidly expanding terrorism probe tied to this dude called Rahmanala Lakenwall. Facing 3 counts of assault and now murder, authorities have hinted at an additional charge, maybe even terrorism related. The raid came down by counterterrorism agents. They seized multiple electronic devices, cell phones, laptops, iPads, all from a residence that was sparse, no beds, just couch cushions that they would sleep on, and barely any furniture. Weird. According to locals, Lakenwall spoke little English, barely mingled with neighbors, and was often seen playing Call of Duty inside his apartment. Who's paying for all this? The operation also included searches of properties in both Washington State and San Diego, where agents reportedly collected additional digital materials. The FBI confirmed that this is no longer just a shooting investigation. Now, full-on, full-scale counterterrorism operation. Officials confirmed special interviews have been conducted with his relatives, including his brother, who's also in the United States. Bring over the whole family. Before securing his own residence, Lakenwall and his family, his wife Camilla, and 5 sons were housed by a Washington State couple who launched a now-deleted GoFundMe campaign. Said, this is Stan and Val, and we're fundraising for an Afghan refugee family who stayed at our home for 2 months before finding permanent rental housing in Bellingham. Rahmanala and Camilla have 5 wonderful boys aged 11 to 2. Don't know if they were born here, if they're automatic citizens, but maybe some of them are. Maybe the 2-year-old. Before being evacuated to the U.S. in September 21, Rahmanala served for 11 years as a member of the Afghan Special Forces. This is what they posted, the family who's housing them. Alongside U.S. service members fighting the Taliban. This is an opportunity for you to help a truly wonderful family who's now shooting American soldiers. They left Afghanistan with nothing, and they need household and kitchen items of all kinds. Please give whatever you can to help them start a new life in the U.S. They are truly genuine, kind people. Laura Loomer also said that she got an update on this. Laura Loomer said, before committing Islamic jihad, that's what it certainly feels like, in our nation's capital yesterday, shooting 2 National Guardsmen, this guy was staying at the home of somebody, a family, and they say they lived with us for 4 months last year. They're doing very well. They have a small house and a caring landlord. He also has a job at a local hospital working in laundry. The kids are all in public school and parents are taking English classes. We can't imagine the hardships they have been through, but we think they are doing well. Well, something happened. And officials confirmed that he entered in 2021. Biden brought him in after the botched withdrawal from Kabul. As the Gateway pundit noted before, Sarah Beckstrom, now dead, she was shot and murdered in an ambush-style shooting. She volunteered that day so that other people could go spend Thanksgiving with their families, and some lunatic killed her. Beckstrom suffered a mortal wound, passed away literally on Thanksgiving. Prayers up. Jim Hoff, thank you for that report. Now, we're still looking for the charges. I have not seen them. We just did a quick search for that. Haven't seen the official charging documents come down yet, but we had more from the president. He was asked about this. Are you mad with all Afghanis or what? Are you blaming all of them? Here's what Trump had to say.
You've made changes for Afghanis' ability to apply for asylum. Do you blame all Afghans for this one man?
No, but we've had a lot of problems with Afghans because they had a lot of them coming in on these planes. Again, I show you this picture. We had a lot of them coming in on these planes that are, look at them. There was no check-in. They just poured into the plane. And many of these people are criminals. Many of these people are people that shouldn't be here. And many of them have been gotten out. I mean, we've gotten out a lot of the people that, we've taken a lot of them out of here. But they came in, legally, right? Yeah, I know, the old story. Many are wonderful, yeah, I'm sure.
I said many are here legally, though. What should
I'm
they
sure,
think?
yeah. Many are missing their sure.
Well, they can't be happy, okay? They can't be happy. Because what's taking place between that, if you look at Somalia, they're taking over Minnesota, and we got a lot of problems with the gangs, with all of the things taking place in Minnesota. We have an incompetent governor, we have a dope governor. They can't be happy about what's going on. And if you talk about the Afghans, there's a problem because so many bad ones came in on the planes. They just walked in. Whoever the strongest people were physically in a way, but whoever the strongest, they got on the planes. There was no check-in. They just swamped the planes. They took off. We had no idea who they were.
Yeah, and so the CIA must have had an idea on who this guy was. Doesn't sound like he's a random person who was just hanging out of a wheel well. They may have brought his whole family over, it sounds like. After the withdrawal, he was probably high priority. They brought the whole family over for whatever reason. Now he's a CIA asset just hanging out in Washington until he decides to snap. They brought in 90,000 Afghans. They came in, they got special immigration visas, said one source to the New York Post. Initial report said he was living in here illegally after overstaying a visa, but that's not true. He's here legal. Trump administration official confirmed to Reuters he applied for asylum in December, and they approved it in April of this year. No other known criminal history at all. Settled in Washington. There's the scene. Absolutely horrific. He reportedly entered September 8th, 21, which was after the withdrawal. Evacuees, including allies, their families, and other groups, were either placed with relatives or temporary shelter in safe havens. Where he lived was among the Washington cities targeted for Afghan refugees. 800 people resettled back over there. They brought them all back and said, here you go. Go live here in Washington. You can see one of our soldiers shot. Others were placed in Seattle, Tacoma, Yakima, Spokane. Unclear how long the visas were valid or how many of those have been followed up on if they're invalid. The Department of Homeland Security did not immediately respond to the Post's request for comment. More photos. On Wednesday, he was lying in wait before he rounded the corner of the metro station about 2:15, opened fire, striking a female guard in the chest, then shot her in the head like an animal. The crazed gunman then allegedly fired at and struck the second guard until the third guard station rushed nearby and then took him down. 2 armed soldiers who were patrolling the streets were taken to a nearby hospital, one of them now dead. Deceased. The suspect acted alone, was shot 4 times, was hauled away nearly naked, and they said it was a targeted shooting and an ambush. No motive for the attack as of yet. But there was another interesting post about this. People were saying that his name was showing up in Google Trends a long time before this most recent news story, and I looked that up. I didn't see anything. I did see kind of a weird little blip right here back in 2022, where somebody, looks like maybe a search was happening for his name. But then I saw somebody else say that maybe there were other spikes for his search and that maybe Google deleted it. So, or maybe the CIA deleted those trends or something. There's some screenshots going around on this, but I looked it up. I'm not seeing any other spikes as it stands right there. So measure those posts accordingly under that. But JD Vance was out, and JD Vance said this very clearly a long time ago, back in 2021, before he got in, VP fighting condition. He said here, long time ago, here is my message to Ben Sasse and other establishment Republicans who seem to care more about bringing in 30,000 unvetted Afghan refugees into our country than to getting our own people out safely. Here was JD, very prescient here some time ago.
I see that Senator Ben Sasse went on national TV yesterday and attacked me for suggesting we should focus on getting our own citizens out of Afghanistan rather than the Afghan refugees. And he said great countries honor their word. Of course, nobody disagrees with that. It's a ridiculous platitude. The question is not whether we honor our word. The question is, who have we made promises to? Who do we owe an obligation toward? And to any leader of this country, the obvious answer should be American citizens. So let's focus first on getting them out of Afghanistan before we say another word about the Afghan refugees. Now, Senator Sasse also said that he would welcome the Afghan refugees to his neighborhood with open arms. That's very sweet of him. I'm sure a lot of liberals will say very nice things about him because he said that. But the question is not whether we help the Afghan refugees. The question is, first, how do we do it? And second, how do we do it in a way that doesn't destroy our own sovereignty? So let's have an honest question about what exists in Afghanistan. According to Pew, 40% of the people there believe that blowing yourself up, committing a suicide bombing, is an acceptable way to solve a problem. So yes, let's help the Afghans who helped us, but let's ensure that we're properly vetting them so that we don't get a bunch of people who believe they should blow themselves up at a mall because somebody looked at their wife the wrong way. That is not real leadership. Real leadership is accepting the trade-offs of the situation, putting our own citizens first, and not dealing with fake platitudes because it gets people in the media to say nice things about you.
Yeah, and so from JD, they're saying unvetted, but the DOJ or Homeland is really saying that they have vetted this guy. CIA said, we vetted this dude. And then something went off. Trump says he just went a little bit cuckoo. But here's what Kristi Noem says. She also doesn't want to mention his name. And when I see kind of patterns like this, I start to say, well, it's interesting. How come nobody wants to mention his name? I understand why. You don't want to give him glory. You don't want to elevate this and create copycats. But it also might be because he's a CIA asset, right? Kristi Noem said, the suspect who shot our brave National Guardsman is an Afghan national who was one of the many unvetted mass paroled into the United States. I don't think that's accurate. I think he was vetted under Operation Allies Welcome on September 8, 2021 under the Biden administration. But you guys just approved his application for asylum this year. I will not utter this depraved individual's name. He should be starved of the glory he so desperately wants. And by the way, like, I'm not blaming them for this, but he was vetted. It wasn't one of those people who was, according to the Biden people. So now we have to say, who did the vetting? And in this case, it was the CIA, it sounds like. So we don't want to just ignore the facts and, well, how did this illegal alien get it? No, he's not an illegal alien. You guys the CIA brought him over here, brought his whole family over here. So who's accountable for that? Don't just say he's unvetted. Somebody vetted him and let him in. I will not utter this depraved individual's name. He should be starved of the glory he so desperately wants. Yeah, but we want accountability for the vetter. These men and women of the National Guard are mothers, fathers, sisters, daughters, children of God, carrying out the same basic public safety and immigration laws enshrined in law for decades. The politicians and the media who continue to vilify our men and women in uniform need to take a long, hard look in the mirror. Yeah, talking to you, Alyssa and Mark Kelly. Byron and I will be praying hard for these two National Guardsmen, their families, and every American who puts on uniforms to defend our freedom. So it sounds like he was highly vetted and he had all the hallmarks of a sane person, according to the CIA, who doesn't know anything about hallmarks of anything. But shout out to Carrie B for flagging this one. I think this is the one that I saw. This person called James Lee, who makes great videos all over the place that are very interesting. He said, here, I screen recorded the evidence of looking this dude's name up. And here is what was out there. According to him, 12 seconds. This is putting in Google Trends, Rahmanala Lakenwall. And I just shared with you my search and there was nothing in there. But here's what he screen recorded earlier. Pulls that in there. 100 searches. Okay, and you know, this is interesting. Yeah, this is interesting. So you can see, let me move my fat head out of the way. There it is. So that was that original spike. That was right around November 26, 2025. Wait a minute. So those are before the shooting. All right, interesting. Okay, so let me just go back and zoom in, see if I can recreate that. Because we did have that pulled up. What did I do with this? So I had zoomed way out. So this was on the past 5 years. Let's do like the past 7 days. So yeah, that's the shooting comes out, his name, right? So then you'd expect major activity. But even over the last 7 days, let's take a look at the past day. See, you can't really get that granular. And so I'm wondering, interesting. So over the past day, lots of spikes. Okay, that makes sense. I'd like to see if we could get like the past 3 days. Because once the search volume goes up, then you'd see any of these other maybe peaks might get, but they're not there, man. They're not there. There's nothing there. So yeah, that's pretty curious. So November 26th at 4 p.m., it's all under 1. Yeah, so maybe he's just seeing something here. Maybe the date is just, I don't know exactly what it is, but yeah, the guy was CIA. So curious things are going on there. And Carrie B, thank you for flagging that one for us from that gentleman. And what did I do with that one? Let's just go back to that. Here it is. So he flagged that at 12:48. There were 100 searches. Interesting. All right, so that's what's cooking out there. But as we can see, the president is unloading, saying we're going to really lock down our immigration procedures, and the government moving to charge this person. But we have not seen the charges yet. And I'm looking for the criminal complaint. If anybody has seen that, of course, let me know. But now, my friends, let's see what you say about all of this. What a sad Friday it is. And I just want to pause also right now. I saw on our locals chat, our friend Chubby Stubby lost his mom this morning. Chubby, I'm so sorry to hear that, my man. Horrific news. We're going to be praying for you, your family. May your mother rest in peace. And we'll be here, man, for you. When you're ready to come back, or if you need anything, just let us know. So sorry to hear that. Terrible news. So a little bit of a somber day today, but the president reacting, responding. We should have some charges coming soon. Now, my friends, let's see what you say about all of this and more. See who's joining us. See how your Thanksgivings were and what else you're seeing out there. And if you're seeing a criminal complaint, let me know. We'll pull that puppy up and just take a look at it. But yeah, Cowpoke. Man says most obvious false flag operation I've ever seen from Cowpoke. What would be the motivation for it? Would it be to just accelerate things? So if it's a false flag, let's say Alyssa Slotkin and the CIA activated this dude. So he goes, he kills some National Guards members. Trump overreacts, you think? And then that opens him up to some sort of attack. They say, okay, great. Now Trump is acting erratically and issuing all of these orders. So we'll use that politically. We'll use that legally to come back and gain political power. Is that the thesis? I think what makes more natural sense to me would be if they could create like another George Floyd situation, right? That seems more plausible to me. Like, what if they could make it so that a National Guards member shot and killed some 14-year-old girl or something, okay? Like right outside Portland. Then they say, the National Guard are fascists. We're all under attack. They're killing us. Then that might energize their side. If anything, I think this energizes our side. We're like, see, we told you so, you idiots. So again, there's reactions and equal and opposite reactions, right? So like, for example, if you're wrestling or grappling somebody, if they're not pushing into you, you might want to push them, then they push back into you. Then you hit them with a headlock or something, right? So you push them, then you wait for them to overcommit, then you do the old reversal on it. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on that, Cowpoke, how you game that out. Tony Hey Munkets. Thank you for bringing in membos, Tony. Hey, you rock. What's up? Joel Hill is coming in. We got RF and Ports is in the house. Cinnamon Squirrel is joining us. Chatbot Bro is here. We got Space Lord Babe. What's up, Marshall Levine? Ken loves America. So do we, Ken. Texas Caddy Did is here. Wes Gibson, Kitten Lang joining us. All courtesy of Tony Hey Munkets in the house. Thank you, Tony. Hey, welcome aboard. New membos. Yeah, what's this? Former LEO. Since Beckstrom was shot in the head, I wonder if Wolf was also hit in the head. Yeah, I don't know, former. Probably. And I think I saw some posts, like not to be a black pill or a downer on it, but I saw, I think, posts from the father that said he thinks his son's going to go too. I mean, it's just horrific. I can't even imagine. So yeah, it's not good. I think that they were ambushed. They were just sitting there. He just shot him point blank. So it's not good. Joel Hill, what's up? 5 membos. Joel, what's up? Paula McPhee's coming in. SS Go Hard Gaming, what's up? We got this one, FKHYFXDGHGGJHV, which is pronounced Fahigative. Welcome. M. Rivers, welcome. Derek Brown, welcome in the house. Great to have you here. Yeah, Trino Galaxy says, Dems doing anything to blame Trump. A lot of that. If Trump wasn't securing our cities, then maybe we wouldn't shoot and kill the people securing our cities. You're like, oh my goodness. They want to justify the deaths of good people, whether it's Charlie Kirk or our National Guards members. It's a sick ideology. They think that they can do these things as long as they're killing fascists. And as we already gamed out, Alyssa Slotkin and the other seditious 6 said the National Guard were being deployed illegally. And if you're a National Guard member and you're deployed illegally, then you're following illegal orders, unlawful orders. They made a whole video about that. Maybe that's what set this dude off. Bucky says, when people talk about Afghan refugees, this is what comprises and makes up Afghanistan. Says, tribes, 14 major ethnic groups, Pashtun, Tajik, Hazara, with dozens of other sub-tribes per the 2004 Constitution and the sources like Wikipedia and Minority Rights Group. There's warlords, 5 to 10 prominent ones. There's terrorist organizations, 8 to 12 active, Taliban, ISIS-K, Al-Qaeda, TTP, other things. And yeah, no, we brought them all here too. We brought, 90,000 of them to our country? They're really good people though. All right. Bucky's is Rome. We always kept our weapons on us and loaded and never turned our backs on our allies. Grok says, between 07 and 16, there were 102 green on blue attacks in Afghanistan, resulting in 157 NATO fatalities and 205 injuries, according to U.S. Army reports. From 17 to 21, various reports also document about 10 more attacks, adding roughly 17 fatalities, 112 attacks, and 174 deaths. From Grok. Good details there. Milan says, the guardsman, Sarah, who died, volunteered to let other service members in her unit go home to be with their families. She had only been in Washington for 24 hours. It's sick, man. What a hero. Prayers up for Sarah. May she rest in peace. And she's just up there in heaven having a great time. But we do miss her. Thank you for that. Hey, .9. Rob, late last night, Joe Neerman explained how the administration attempted to end the program that delivered and protected Lakenwall. But 2 courts ruled that Trump could not act to counter the law passed by Congress in 21. Good explanation of the admin's attempts. Are you talking about good logic next door? Joe? That's awesome. Yeah, shout out to Joe, man. That's great. So that's right next door? Yeah, so could he have denied the asylum application? Or maybe he would have sued and reversed it? I don't know that he would have had the wherewithal to sue, but yeah, it's interesting. And why did the CIA approve him? Absent any court, any attempts to end the programs, why did the CIA approve him? Who was responsible for that? Bucky's is Rome. My final real life and real world operational opinion to America. We can't vote our way out of this. Millions of them are here. The Democrats and the court support and encourage them, and many Americans do. They're like suicidal. I've never seen anything quite like it. It's wild. They care about foreigners more than their own countrymen. And they call themselves Americans. You're not an American if that's what you believe. Are you kidding? You're like a globalist. Just stop calling yourself an American. In fact, you should leave. We fought and lived this for 20 years and have seen what happens in these countries when it gets sectarian and tribal. They kill each other and whoever is in between them. Trying to shut the barn doors after the horses escape is not a winning strategy. From Bucky's is Rome. Yeah, man. And the thing that we had that was unifying us was our Constitution. It was our Bill of Rights. It was the liberties. It was our civic virtues that we all thought were common amongst us. Then that all got watered down. Then it's no longer a merit-based society. Now it's a victim-based society. So if you have, we have like this victim Olympics thing that our society now does, where everybody just tries to leapfrog each other. Well, actually, I'm a more oppressed person than you are, because, like Karine said, she's a historic black lesbian female. It's like, so she's oppressed. Or like Michelle Obama, who's had the most difficult life ever, being the first lady. It's so hard for her because of her black womanness or whatever. It's like that has how our society has gone. So how do you, if everybody is playing this game where they're the biggest victim and they're entitled to the most reparations or the most government benefits or whatever, and you've got a huge portion of our own countrymen who are native born citizens who are enabling this, like, well, they deserve it more than you do because you're a white male. I think many of them just hate white men, to be honest with you. It's like they hate their fathers, so they hate themselves. They hate white men. So you get these liberals from Berkeley who just decide we're going to wreck our country because we hate our fathers mostly. So Bucky's, I think that's true. How do we fix that? It's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. Rick D, but we're not giving up. We have a country to save. Rick D, don't let that April approval date fool you. His asylum was actually approved by none other than Biden appointee holdover called Jennifer B. Higgins. Thank you for the name on that, man. Acting Director, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. President Trump's nominee, Joseph Edlow, was not confirmed until July 15, 2025. So he's kind of a holdover. He got grandfathered in. Thank you for those details, Rick D. This is what we want to know. This is why we don't want to just let it kind of escape like, well, he's an illegal alien who came in. No. There's a bunch of people that signed off on this and brought his whole family over. So who were those people? And maybe they should be held responsible for these things. There's always no accountability. Who gave the illegals the driver's licenses that then enabled them to go kill other Americans, right? Who are the judges that are releasing these criminals on the streets that go slice other people in the neck? Like, we want accountability for these people. Have some skin in the game. Pay for your consequences like everybody else does. If you do anything else, I file a motion that's bad, I get my license hit. But if you're a politician and you wreck a planet, wreck a country, it's like, oops, that was a bad policy, but I need some campaign money to run for re-election. And like, okay, here you go. Matt Ostrander, get ready for the onslaught of lawsuits against the FBI in the city of New York City due to the finding of 68, quote, missing boxes of toxin reports from 9/11. Dang, I did not even know about that. Sassy Gemini says, I posted a long comment and we'll get to it. Thank you, Sassy, for giving us a heads up. Dan says, status of operations alien welcome, allowing individuals related to working with and for the USA. Was only good for 2 years after the program started in August 21. Therefore, he was needing to requalify in 2023. Was only good for 2 years. He needed to requalify in 23. Interesting. I want to know what the process was. I don't want to just chalk this up to like, well, I don't know how he got in here, but he got in here. No, because who stamped this dude off? And who else did they stamp off? And maybe we should go find those people. K24U Today. Reporting has the immigration judge that approved him was a Biden holdover that Trump fired in July. Man, thank you for the corrections on that. Yeah, so the Biden people did it. And they're trying to say Trump did it. NY says, I don't know about false flag, but the campaign to have troops question illegal orders needs to be answered with criminal charges. I don't know if the speech and debate clause gets them out of this. Well, I think the argument would be that it's not anything to do with their actual congressional duties. These were private, personal videos that they made outside of Congress. So they shouldn't have those protections like a force field that followed them around everywhere. NY says, thank you for that one. Rick D, what's up? From Conservative Twins, Trump said, wow, Trump can go after attorney's fees in Georgia, and the law backs him 100%. In fact, Georgia law says if a prosecutor is disqualified and the case is dismissed, talking about the Fannie case, then the defendant gets all reasonable legal costs. Fannie got booted, the case got tossed. Trump can go get some money out of Big Fannie. Man, I hope that's true. Spuds, there is some concern that Trump is underway too much influence by the surveillance oligarchs. Well, I think almost all of them are, personally. When I see guys like Jim Jordan, who got spied on for 2 years, come out and basically just show his belly, well, we're going to ask Jack Smith some questions about this. No judges are being impeached, and there's real no energy around anything that the intelligence communities did. I think that they're probably running things, which is why we have so much disdain for the CIA and the FBI and the judges who are all part of that oligarchical structure. Says, so I have my doubts that he is acting in good faith. About Trump, of course, this would be initiated by the folks at Langley, who also have a lot of gain by increasing surveillance of the people. Unless Trump divests himself from his buddies, he is on the hook from Trump. Well, I think there's some fairness to saying that, it takes a long time to right the ship, right? If you're going to turn the Titanic around, like on day one, they wanted to blame Trump for like a bad economy. Well, I thought the prices were going to flip off overnight. Like, it takes some time to change the policies of the country. So, and there's a lot that's still in the pipeline that you have to process through before you get to the good stuff. So I can understand that. I think ultimately, we blame the Bidens for our immigration problem. Trump has been the most consistent person opposed to it of all parties ever in my whole life. So we don't, we don't blame the president for it or Kristi Noem, but it is interesting. And it's the reason we have to be specific about it is because I think this is a problem that is systemic throughout the federal government. In other words, we've got a case like this where somebody slipped through the cracks under the current employees in the government. So Kristi Noem needs to go find out what happened. Like, who is approving these asylum cases? Is everybody gone? Ratcliffe should be combing through the CIA right now. Who was on the team that approved this dude and why? Like, this is a good indicator that there should be massive purges of the holdovers who are enabling this type of conduct to occur. And that's why I think Trump is doing that, right? He came out, he just unloaded. We're going to unload. You're all going home. Goodbye. Swede, what's up? Says Sarah Backstrom, Swedish heritage, rest in peace, Valhalla. Man, shout out to our Swedish friends. Is that what it is? Backstrom? With the letters over the O? The Swedes have good names, man. They've got some good names. Valhalla, all that Nordic stuff is pretty cool. Thank you for that, Swede. Sending some love and some prayers in for Sarah. Awesome. Milan. Hey, going down a rabbit hole, false flag, right? Intimidation to military. Here's a message. You are possibly following unlawful orders. Okay, so that's another attack vector. Maybe it's going to shake the military. I have a doubt about that. Their resolve will probably double down, right? They'll say, if there was any argument that they shouldn't be on the streets, I think this is a pretty good indicator that they should be on the streets, because there's psychos in our society that are willing to shoot them. And I'm not saying you bait them into shooting you, but there are bad people out there. This is why we have the National Guard out, right? For doing your duty on an American holiday to secure the Capitol, you're killed. And the media cares more about the shooter. The way out there, libs blame her for getting shot because she was following Trump's illegal orders, according to them. I mean, I never served in the military, and I'm grateful for those who have and do, but I would imagine if I were in the military that seeing two of my fellow soldiers get shot and killed, I'd be like, all right, that's it. I'm volunteering. I'll go out there next, right? It's like, let's go out to anyone else? Like, I could expect every single person in your, barracks or whatever. Like, yeah, let's go. Let's go out. We're going to be there 24 hours a day for the foreseeable future, just as a show of force. So I think that's what I would expect of what I know about our military men and women. So I think that's kind of like a backfire. So I'm trying to game it out. Like, what do they benefit from killing soldiers? Jonah Finn, I have not seen one Google Trend pre-event name searcher poster video show video of searches, just screenshots, something to make you go, Well, that one was a video. Yeah. So that was the thing. I saw some screenshots, but that one was a video. But then after the search volume goes up dramatically, does it suppress those other, markers? Once it becomes very aggressive, once everyone starts to search for it, do you not see those same perturbations? All right. So Sassy, here's the comment. Thank you, Sassy. Like my son told me, they know, understand, and respect the oath they took to the Constitution, and they don't need anyone, especially politicians, to remind them. He also wanted me to share with you all that he isn't focusing on this. He wants you all to know that when he puts on his uniform, politics don't exist. He has America first, not politicians who would serve to distract him from his unlawful constitutional commitments. Man, shout out to your boy. Shout out, Sassy. Thank you to your son, to your family. Sounds like you raised a good boy out there serving our country. And that's more of what I'm talking about. It's like, they can try to politicize this. We even said this when the Seditious Six came out with their little video. We're like, do they think that the military is just going to watch their little 2-minute video and then say, okay, I guess they're in charge now. Alyssa is the commander in chief, so I guess I'll ignore Trump's orders. So it does feel like there's something broader going on than just, this guy was a CIA asset. Alyssa Slotkin is CIA. I'm just trying to piece it all together. Rubos are here. Rubo Salt Shop. Hey, Rob. If Rahmanala Lakenwall is 29, how is he a highly trained veteran of Afghanistan's elite commando corps, fighting alongside U.S. Special Forces in Kandahar for over a decade prior to 21 when he came here? In 21, he was 25. Was he 13 or 14 when he joined the Special Forces in Kandahar? Was the CIA training child soldiers in Afghanistan? Maybe. That's as good as explanation as anything. But yeah, it's a great timeline. Thanks for reverse engineering that. When did they pick him up over there? What was that about? Dan, what's up? Hey, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas during hearings couldn't even provide the number of individuals in the program, nor if they were vetted regarding the chaotic Afghanistan withdrawal. Did I have that link? You're refreshing my recollection on that. Let me see if I have that link. because people are resurfacing some of these clips. And let me see if I snag that one. Got a lot of stuff in my bookmarks over and over. This might be it right here. Here from Insurrection Barbie. Wrong button. Insurrection Barbie says, good time to remind everyone why we are here. Here's what Mayorkas was asked about in Congress.
Ready for your downfall. People who say things like F Israel and any Jew who supports Israel. May your conscience haunt your dreams until your last breath. Palestine will be free one day. F apartheid Israel and any Israeli. This is pretty extreme rhetoric, don't you think?
Senator, I do, and I think there is a distinction between espousing or endorsing terrorist ideology and speech that is odious, that does not rise to that level.
Fair enough. This person works for you. This is Nuja Ali, an employee of the Department of Homeland Security, who posted these comments on October the 7th. That's not all she posted. She also posted this, and Jewish students are barricaded in libraries. That's what you're telling? Well, let me just point you to what else she posted on social media, where she drew attention to genocide she's advocating.
All right, so I don't know if there's anything in there about the number of refugees, if that's the one you're talking about, but that's Holly lacing into him about bringing maniacs over. And Tony, hey, did you change? Yeah, we're just holiday season right now. Did you change the schedule, or is this just because? Yeah, we're just holiday season right now. But thank you, Tony, hey, for the dono and for asking about it. What's up? So, my friends, thank you for sending in these amazing donos and for being here on the day. I had one other thing that was on my mind, but I can't remember what it was. All right, so it has been a beautiful stream. Let's say hello to our friends on X on the day, and then we'll wrap it up and call it an evening and a lovely Friday. Let's see. Any other comments on X on the morning? And, oh, we got some locals comments. We're going to get to some locals comments, too. That's what I was just thinking about. So locals comments coming up, so hang tight. And let's see what else we've got over here. Are we live on X? Where the heck is our live stream over here? I don't even see it. Here we are. All right, we're live over here. Any comments over here on X? Tracy King, what's up? Yeah, enough is enough. We're a civilized nation. Perhaps the uncivilized savages need to have it brought to their level of understanding and have proper justice brought down to them. Of course. Proper justice, indeed. Indeed. All right, so let's take a look at some locals comments, and then we'll call it a day, my friends. It's a beautiful Friday. Very glad to have you here and with us. Let's see what we've got cooking on the day. The Veil. Hey, what'd you have for Thanksgiving? You had pizza with dragon fruit on it, then slept a very soundful sleep today. Amazing. That sounds great. That sounds beautiful. John Jay, a.k.a. Perot Elector, says, John Jay, Natural Born Citizenship Committee for Detecting and Defeating Judicial Conspiracies. Man, that sounds like a good organization. A good organization. Amy Ann, good morning. Good morning. Happy Friday to you. Says, I'd rather see statutes of Sarah Beckstrom than George Floyd. 100%. Yeah, George Floyd was a drug addict, thief. And we don't want him to have died, but he probably shouldn't have taken all those drugs before he was getting arrested. Now, and again, we don't want him, but we wish, he could have avoided that. But yeah, they glorified him, man. There was a hagiography for George Floyd because it was all political. They just wanted to win an election. This one, what's up, Amy Ann? I thought I heard something about the fact that the president or the Congress could get rid of the entire Fifth Circuit or maybe the Third Circuit or both. And so since they are so corrupt and causing such delays on deportation efforts, why don't we do that? Please explain. Well, it's because we have Congress. Yeah, Congress sets the jurisdiction of the courts. Congress can impeach the courts. Congress could create jurisdictions, eliminate jurisdictions, but they're Congress. They're just weak and pathetic, so they don't do that at all. They don't do anything really useful at all. So this one came in from Sassy. Says, from the indescribably proud mom of a Utah National Guard son, trying to clear this up, it's very important to me. There are many people calling Sarah Beckstrom and Andrew Wolf rookies or green, but that just isn't true. The comments are being made because of the swearing in 24 hours after they were ambushed. So I haven't seen much of that at all. I don't know if the left is saying that, but I haven't seen that. I think the argument is that they're being sworn in because this was their assignment, right? You're being sworn in for this location. But she did some quick searches. She said that swearing in 24 hours before, it wasn't her first oath. Okay, she was enlisted back in 23. This was one quick mission-specific deputization ceremony for her, and it formalized her authority to patrol. Same thing with Andrew Wolf. Says, no, he was actually sworn in, enlisted 2019. Yeah, so not green at all, right? They were just sworn in for that one specific assignment. So she says, I'm frustrated by the unintentional minimization of their training and experience. I understand it's as simple as folks taking a sentence without the proper context and running with that. But these two are heroes, are far more experienced than they are being given credit for. Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Thank you for the details on that. I didn't realize that they were enlisted a lot earlier than that. But yeah, when I heard that they were just sworn in 24 hours before, it's like, oh yeah, because they were sworn in for that assignment, right? You're getting deployed for this specific assignment. But I easily see how people could get that twisted. Thank you, Sassy, for explaining that. The veil. So when the CIA messes up big time with their vetting process that leads to the death of our officers, is anyone who was responsible for their failure in the vetting process within the CIA ever held accountable? I mean, like publicly held accountable? No. Who? John Brennan? Has this rogue agency ever been held accountable in the entire history of the agency? I don't think so. Have you ever seen, how many times have you seen people come in from the CIA and testify? Almost never. Every now and then someone will come in, they don't ask him anything, and then it's all closed door briefings behind the scenes. Yeah, here you go. From Dan, Hawley grills Mayorkas over Afghan vetting failures. Yeah, so he was digging into it. Tense Judiciary Committee hearing. And it seemed to me like he was more interested in the social media post on that clip. But here, NY, I thought a lot about the seditious six. I don't think the speech and debate clause gets them off the hook. This law pertains to activities affecting the armed forces. It states that whoever with intent to interfere with, impair, or influence the loyalty, morale, or discipline of the military or naval forces commits an offense. We have a mechanism to deal with the commander-in-chief, which the Democrats have no issues with using. I think they should be charged. Yeah, and well, now you could say that they've got some causal connection to deaths of soldiers. They said National Guardsmen were being deployed illegally, and that troops don't have to follow illegal orders. So if you're a troop who is deployed, you're following an illegal order, you're a fascist, you're an enemy of the state. They can kill you. So you can just connect it right back to them. Hardened patriot. Great stuff. Thank you for the nice comments. Locals friends, thank you for being here and for those comments. Great to have you. Dan says, I think it was intentional minimization. 22 Dragon says, yeah, Floyd did at least one home invasion and was trying to steal from that convenience store with a fake check, as we saw. We had some other comments come in. K Bean, Carrie B, thank you for clipping for us today. Let's see what this one looks like. From Gauntlet. Gauntlet says, Representative Goodlander is married to Jake Sullivan, who served as the national security advisor under Biden. Yeah, connections. Yeah, that's right. And wasn't she also like ex-military or something, right? She's ex. It's not. She wasn't in that video because of her husband. She was in there because I think she's ex something or other. So yeah, it's all very, very curious. And the fact that this guy was a literal CIA asset raises more eyebrows. Milan, a lot of military are very young when they enter service. So intimidation has more to do with the parents not wanting their children in harm's way. Okay, so like this would freak out the parents. The parents would put pressure on the soldiers. Then the soldiers and the readiness might be jeopardized because of that tension. From Milan. Spuds, the point is that if Trump wants support from independents, he needs to prove himself since he can't rely on many of his own party. I don't trust any POTUS, no matter how much I may agree with them. If you do not understand the Constitution and that we, the people, are given rights by our Creator and not the government, including the POTUS. Always be skeptical and trust no one. Yeah, I mean, everyone is human, right? There's nobody who's infallible. We don't have any idea the amount of pressures that are coming down on these politicians from all these different angles. And so we're kind of playing the game with one hand tied behind our back in the fog of war. But I agree. We have to stand by the principles, not the person, because people can leave the principles, and principles should be our North Star, our values. And if the party leaves those values, or if the president leaves those values, you don't go. If you believe in those values. If you don't believe in those values, then maybe they weren't your values in the first place and you can go with other values. Or maybe you can, admit that you don't see how this is in furtherance of those values and then gauge whether to leave based on the delta between those two things. But otherwise, it's up. That's by design, by the way. Like the people are also a check on the federal government. So it's our duty, it's our obligation to demand that our politicians adhere to the values. And if they don't, there are repercussions for them. Peaceful, patriotic ones. Rub some dirt on it, says, good shirt, Robert Gouveia. It looks like a galaxy, doesn't it? Looks like a nebula. Is that why you like it? It actually looks like Jupiter. It kind of looks like Jupiter now that I'm looking at it. I was wondering why you commented on it. It's because it looks like Jupiter, isn't it? Isn't it, Galaxy Whirlpool? B Steel, what's up? Hey, thank you, B Steel. 21 years of service. I did my duty and didn't factor my opinions into whether I was going to follow orders when I went to Desert Storm and Desert Shield. Man, thank you for your service, B Steel. 21 years. Yeah, and in other words, you're going to follow orders. So the senators and the seditious six, do you think that they would have deviated your mission by making a video post on TikTok? This old guy says, in my mind, it's real simple. The original mistake was allowing Alejandro Mayorkas to immigrate in the first place. Is he an immigrant, Alejandro Mayorkas? So he just brought in all of his brethren from the entire planet into our country. He was a disaster. Like, why is there no accountability for that guy? Because he's elected. Like, if you're elected or you're appointed by a president, suddenly you're immune from having your country invaded by foreigners. Milan shared this one from Jennifer Ruth Green. Says, I just want to point out that the thousands of service members who refused the illegal order from Joe Biden that forced them to get the COVID jab were fired without benefits, and Democrats were perfectly okay with it. That's right. Yeah, they purged people out using COVID as justification. They thought, oh, you're too much of a free thinker. You're too much of a challenge to authority. And so we're not going to have you in the military. Get out. And it was the same point we made. It's like, okay, if you're in the military currently and you're like, Trump's a fascist. Oh, really? There should be a form. Just fill it out. Do you like a Valentine's Day card? Do you think Trump is a fascist? Yes or no? Just circle one. And just give it to all the, and anyone says yes, oh, thanks, you're going to be discharged. Thank you for that. This one from this old guy, because they did that with COVID. That's what COVID was for. If you didn't want to get it, this was your, oh, you're a right winger. Get out. This old guy says, the swearing in, thank you for that, says within 24 hours for the 2 National Guard soldiers was not an original oath by them. It was most likely a mobilization ceremony. Yeah, that's how I interpreted it. But as Sassy Gemini explained, maybe some other people don't. They're like, you just pulled them out and just shoved them on the streets in 24 hours. Which, yeah, I think people may not understand like the elevation until you are deployable, kind of a, the hierarchy there. So they're thinking like, oh, like you just enlisted, like you left the recruiter's office, they gave you a uniform and you're out there. Kalo Waheen, what's up? Hey, remember Biden first day in office, he vetoed all of Trump's policies, all of them. Yeah, reversed all the executive orders like crazy. Flooded the country. And then was like, I can't do anything. How is this happening? I don't know. Bill Dozer, it seems that the GOP is far too often just an elderly, toothless, demented chihuahua. Yeah. Lots of barking, lots of running around, manic, riddled with anxiety. Saying me quiero illegal aliens constantly. What are you doing? Thank you, Bill. Laura Larson, can the CIA retroactively change the spike changes in the Google search? Probably, yeah. It's just data. So there's a good argument that the Google is the CIA, right? With Larry Page and Sergey Brin and all those dudes. I think they got their first contract, right, from the intelligence communities for like an internet like DARPA, right? Didn't DARPA start Google basically? So yeah, maybe. So yeah, I would say that they absolutely can. They can just go in there and just change the data if they wanted to. Laura, thank you. Hopefully they don't, but maybe they did. This old guy, Mayorkas, is Cuban. He's a commie? Oh, great. So he was born in Havana, Cuba, which is why he wanted to wreck our country. He was perfect to do that. What a sick thing. I didn't know that. Alejandro was born in Cuba, and so he invaded our country. He should be investigated and imprisoned if he committed crimes. Rick D., he did. When a Reserve Guard member gets nationalized for service, they're required to take the oath again, as it is a different office. Same for active members who re-enlist. They are required to take the oath again because they are agreeing to extend the time in their office. Man, good details there. Yeah, good details. Says, Woodchip Bill, I think that they're not setting charges against the shooter because they're waiting until Andrew is out of danger. Well, we read it, that they said that he was being charged with other counts, but I haven't seen it. I've been waiting for an indictment. I mean, an indictment's probably not coming right now, but at least a direct complaint. And has anybody seen that? I have not seen it. I was looking for it this morning, and I just did a search as we were live and I didn't see anything come up. Laura with Lucy the dog. What's up, Laura? Do you think that there are people from the previous administration from the CIA that are still working against Trump and us? 1,000%. 1,000%. Almost a guarantee. That's what 1,000%. I guarantee it. Yeah. I think it's not just the CIA. It's the FBI. It's the DOJ. They're embedded everywhere. And we got to get them out, which is why we can't just say, well, it's an unvetted crazy person who just went cuckoo. It's like, no. There's a dozen plus people who brought this dude in and were covering for him for years. So who were those people? And we just actually last week, we just had a full video. We were talking about Kash Patel, and I think we saw a graphic from Jim Hoft at the Gateway Pundit that said 5 of the 6 special agents who were involved in Arctic Frost are still at the FBI. So like the people who handed the case to Jack Smith, who worked with Jack Smith, who helped get the search warrants, they're still there. Just walking around the FBI. Bunch of J6ers, J6 people are still there. Like they're all there. Well, they know where the bodies are buried and they know how the system works and we can't get rid of them or the FBI will fail. Like it's too big to fail. What? Even for the bad criminal FBI agents? Like, yeah, we need them. Get out of here. Lucy, Laura, and Lucy. With Lucy the dog. Shout out to Lucy and Laura. You guys rock. An unvetted crazy person just went cuckoo over Cocoa Puffs. Like, that's not the answer. Like, this was a CIA asset who was brought in. Amazing. We got some people watching on Rumble today. Man, shout out. That's awesome. Shout out to our Rumble friends. Good to see you, Laura. Yeah, and Chubby, man, prayers up for Chubby. I just saw that comment, man. Chubby lost his mom this morning, it sounds like, so horrific. All right, so my friends, we're going to wrap it up here on the day. Your boy's got family in town, so we're going to be hanging out with Mom, Joe, Greg, and my beautiful wife today, enjoying the rest of the week. Rick D says, Judge Janine. Oh, yeah, we played that clip, Rick. Rick, were you late to class this morning? Rick, we played that clip. Yeah, she said charges were upgraded to first-degree murder earlier. Hopefully your knee's doing good, Rick, and you're jumping out of an airplane soon. Woodchip Bill, I think that they're not setting charges against the shooter because they're waiting until Andrew's out of danger. Yeah. And we're prayers up for Andrew. Prayers up for the families, man, on Thanksgiving, no less. Just terrible. We got a little Rumble boost over there on Rumble. Man, that's cool. Shout out to our friends on Rumble. That's awesome. That is not momentum, that's maintenance. Quote from Elon Musk. That came in from Bruce Rice Baby. What's up, Bruce Rice? Good stuff. All right, so my friends, let us pause here for the day. It's a beautiful day. Membos, tomorrow's going to be Saturday. We'll come back. We'll have our members only Saturday stream in the morning. And we'll get into that. Man, thank you, Rumble friends, also for those donos. Neuro D, thank you for grabbing those. Good stuff. All right, so we'll pause here. My friends, I hope your Thanksgiving was absolutely amazing. Hopefully you're still indulging a little bit in the aftermath, consuming the leftovers, and enjoying what remains. But we'll pause here for the day. It has been a beautiful Friday. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy close to the week. It was a good one for the most part until we had dead soldiers, and now we're back. So we're going to, of course, keep our eye on all of these cases and more. Membos, we'll be back tomorrow on our Saturday stream to get into it again, but we'll pause here for the rest of the day and the rest of the week, my friends. And then, of course, we'll be back next week on Monday, back to the regular schedule, and get back into whatever the days have in store for us. It is going to be December already. Oh my goodness, by the time we're back here. So we'll pause here. We'll call it an evening and a day. I hope that you're doing something fun, something relaxing, getting outside, getting some fresh air, spending time with family, friends, all the people that we love, so that we can restore our energy tanks, rejuvenate our spirits, rekindle our souls, and come back on Monday to get into it again. Before we do it and leave here today, big thank you and shout outs to our amazing mods and meme smiths, including K-Bean and Carrie B, Donut Mind Me, John, Muffin Rando. We got Neuro D, Janek, Dog Digger, Just Rhonda, G-Gum, Gee-Gum, and Elliot modding the fort down for us, keeping things oh so nice and beautiful around here, my friends. Been a lot of fun. Thanks for hanging with us on the day. Have a great Friday. Have a beautiful evening. Membos, we'll see you back tomorrow. Otherwise, my friends, we'll be back here on Monday to get into it again. And in order to do that appropriately, we are going to need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends. Happy Friday. We'll see you right back here on Monday. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching, my beautiful friends. Now it's that time where the stream must end. You brought the heat with every chat and line. Together we expose corruption. One more time we dove in the truth where the media hides. Lit up the lies with receipts on all sides. The fight isn't over, but we made them sweat. We ain't done yet, no, not just yet. Because together we are watching the watchers. Truth on our side. Watching the watchers. We won't be denied. Watching the watchers. Eyes open wide. Fighting for freedom with nothing to hide. Drop a like and don't forget to share. And bring a friend who's ready to care.